Hello everyone, it's Jackson Green. Today I wanted to just talk really briefly about the Boston Freedom Trail, which is a 2.5 mile walk, hike, whatever you want to call it, throughout historic downtown Boston. It takes you through a lot of the major sites through the American Revolution. So for instance, Boston Commons, you get to see where the Boston Massacre happened. You get to walk to the Breed's Bunker Hill Monument. You get to see the USS Constitution, which, while it's out of the purview of the American Revolution, is still one of the really great sites to see Old Ironsides, the oldest working and operating naval vessel in the United States. But if you're going to go, my suggestion is do not go in August. I don't know if it was just because I was pre-diabetic or if it was just due to the extreme heat and humidity, but I almost went down personally. A little bit of history about the Boston Freedom Trail is that it was established in 1951 officially, but it's meant to try and give people a good sense as to the way that the history kind of played out through the American Revolutionary War, at least in the very, very beginning part of it. You get to go through the Paul Revere House, a couple of different cemeteries that house our major heroes through the Revolutionary War. Personally, my favorite, and this might just be because I'm a bit of a military historian, I love the descriptions of battles, is the Breed's Bunker Hill monument. You get to get kind of a nice overview of the whole site. You get to look up or look down, I should say, at where the British Grenadiers were marching up. You get to see the Old North Church if you want to kind of follow Paul Revere's midnight ride, so you can get a good sense as to the actual geography. Slightly different, I do work at the Alamo, so being able to actually notice the geography of parts of the history. So for instance, the incline of the hill at Breed's Hill, for instance, or if you go to, say, for instance, Gettysburg, and you realize that Pickett's Charge is just a mile of open battlefield. Or if you're in San Antonio, Texas, you can just go down to one of the streets that's by the Alamo, Houston Street in San Antonio, and just look straight down the street, and you'll notice that it's on an incline. So if you're sitting on the walls of the Alamo, which were at the time upwards of 20 feet tall, you could actually see everything that's going on in the city. It's a nice commanding position. It gives you a better understanding of why these battles are fought when you can actually see what's going on, what the geography is. Otherwise, you just don't really understand it. You just read about it and you're like, oh, there was a battle that happened in San Antonio in both December and in March 1835, 1836. Or at Charleston, Massachusetts in 1775. It gives you a far greater appreciation for what happened there in the respective time frame. So for like Bunker's Hill, 1775, today actually just so happens to be the anniversary of the battle at Bunker Hill. For more information, read about it in Nathaniel Philbrick's book. I really enjoy those. But the Boston Freedom Trail as a whole, as a public history site, it just gives you a nice kind of overview. It's got plenty of small placards, so you don't actually need to have a tour guide. It's still great to have one. There are several great tour guides that are in Boston that'll lead you through it, some that kind of play on a little bit more of the fun aspect of history. The other thing I need to point out is that the Boston Freedom Trail is officially just in the city. But if you wanted to, say for instance, go on a quick excursion to the more famous sites of like Lexington Green or the city of Concord, someplace like that, they're not that far away. So as a public history site, seeing all of these different areas that we tend to just kind of read about, and the signage, the plentiful amounts of different pieces of literature you can find, you'll occasionally have some enthusiasts like yours truly who love to punish themselves dressing up as in the period garb just to give it a little bit more of an impression. And there's a couple of other places that are in Boston that are nice little side trips off of the trail as well. For instance, the Boston Tea Party Museum. It's not officially listed because they are a for-profit, and the Freedom Trail is a nonprofit organization. But you can get their tour guides through their website. You can kind of plan what you're going to do. Personally, I would just spend probably a whole day at just going to see the Constitution and Bunkers Hill, or if you're more interested in venerating the dead, going to the different burial grounds to see where the men we read about are buried, to remind us that we are all, in fact, mortals. But no matter what you want to do, the Boston Freedom Trail really gives you a nice kind of overview of the opening of the American Revolution, the reasons behind it. And I think that's what really a public history site needs to focus on, is because if you don't understand the history, you're never going to understand the site. If you don't understand the site and the history, you're never going to understand this country. You're never going to understand why these people were so willing to rebel against a government. You're never going to understand anything that's happened or is going to happen, because history is like good poetry. It rhymes. Mark Twain once said that it never repeats, but it often does rhyme. So to go to see all of these different historical sites with all of the different information that they have available to them, and if you want a little bit of extra information, to hire a tour guide or go through someplace like Viator for that, it is a wonderful experience that I hope me and my wife and my daughter will be able to go on soon. Aside from that, I hope everyone is staying safe and staying well. Thank you.